The primary focus of the COVID-19 response has been on saving lives. And that is the right and appropriate thing to do. However, even as that important work continues, we must now give increasing focus to saving livelihoods and saving our economies. Allow me then to propose a few action points that might assist us in that regard. The first one should come as no surprise, but it's the first action point, key action point. Follow the health protocols. Follow the health protocols. You see, as we move to reopen the economy, what we are in fact doing is learning to live with COVID-19. Because there is no vaccine for the virus. So we are learning to live with it. It therefore means that all of the protocols that we have been following, we must continue to follow. Our health requires that we do, and our economies demand that we do. And if we don't, if we get careless and complacent, we are going to be forced back into lockdowns, back into shutdowns, and will impose and bring upon ourselves, heap upon ourselves, more economic difficulty. So that's the key action point number one. This is not a time to let down your guard. In fact, in one country, not in St. Kitts and Nevis, but in our currency union, this week, there were 4 cases around a workplace cluster. They got back into the workplace, clearly were not fully following the protocols. And one thing led to another, and there are now 5 people, essentially, 4 plus 1, who are now COVID-19 positive. So I want to encourage everyone to follow the protocols that have been established. And I want to commend the task force for not simply asking, but sending out a compliance regime to check, to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. Ultimately, those are things which will help to save the livelihoods and save our economies. So that's very important. The second thing is expand connectivity. Expand connectivity. It is pellucidly clear that connectivity and digital tools have been a lifeline in this pandemic. If you think about it, you could not be hearing me and I could not be hearing from you without the digital tools. And we've heard the briefings throughout. Schools, work, payments, all of these things have been facilitated by digital tools. In this regard, I want to commend our telecommunications providers and SCELEC, and of course all providers and utilities across the currency union. And going forward, it is going to be imperative that we stay connected and connect the unconnected. And this is very important because what we have observed in this period is that the persons and households that have access to digital tools have fared better. And those who don't have fared not so well, which is why our governments are now working to procure and deliver tools for students, for example, to continue their education. There are some businesses that have not been able to telework because they do not have the apparatus so to do. But going forward, this is going to be very important. So the second key action point is connectivity, expand connectivity. The third action point is to adopt a growth mindset. Now, some of you might be saying, well, I haven't heard him speak about money management yet. I'm going to say a few things on that shortly. But the truth is, we cannot go to the economics before we address the ethos. The reality is that our world has changed. Some call it a new normal, some call it a new regular, some call it a new usual. Whatever your choice of words or expression, our world has changed. And to cope, we need a growth mindset. One of the most important qualities of a growth mindset is that it learns from problems and reframes problems into opportunities. A growth mindset reframes problems into opportunities. The reality is that this adversity presents opportunities. And so, I'm heartened by the early evidence of some businesses that have basically revamped or tweaked their business models to include delivery of certain services, and I think that's important. And I will make the point again, going forward, health and safety will be key to all and any business, large or small. Health and safety. Hotels, small business, bars, shops, supermarkets, any business, and of course workplaces as well. So ask yourself, what has this pandemic taught me? And how can I be more resilient in the future? Write down your lessons and begin to craft a recovery plan. And now I'll say a few words on finances. So the fourth action point is manage your finances wisely. At this moment, we do not know how long this pandemic will last, so we must be prudent. Our working assumption is that this is a marathon, not a sprint. To manage our finances, we must do the following, and I'm just going to highlight a few things because we will be doing more of this in the next few weeks through our podcast, ECCB Connects. Identify essential and non-essential spending. So just as we have essential and less essential workers, we have essential and non-essential spending. That's another way of saying focus on your needs, not your wants. And perhaps the experience of the past month might assist us in clarifying in our minds what is essential and what is not. Because we're going to have to make the decision because we are working with less. We have less income. We have less resources. So consider the example, for example, consider this simple example. I have $900 saved. If this pandemic is going to last 3 months, I can spend $300 per month. That will tide me to the end of 3 months. However, if this pandemic lasts 9 months, then I must spend $100 per month because I need that $900 to tide me over not 3 months, but 9 months. My point is that we need to use our limited finances wisely. All of us. At the personal level, at the household level, at the business level, and at the government level. All of us. Because money is scarce. Avail yourself of financial relief. So for example, the banks and credit unions are offering loan deferral, a moratorium. The utility companies, Social Security, the government. You need that support? Avail yourself at this point. That will also help. Our churches, others, avail yourself. But I also want to challenge us to save something from what little we receive. If you are receiving $500 per month, try and save $50. It might seem like a big ask because you think you want to do a lot of things, but I hope the last month has taught us that not everything is essential. And perhaps we could live on a lot less if we understand the situation and we embrace the times. If you're earning or you're collecting $1,000, try and save $100. I know some of you are saying, I don't know how that is possible, but I want to remind you, our parents and grandparents worked for a lot less than we did and saved a lot more. And perhaps we need to draw on those lessons. I always say they were some of the best economists I know. And I think at this moment, that wisdom would help.